Hey everyone, hope you're well. Thanks for joining us 5 o'clock on a Tuesday today. My name is Tony. I'll be your host for the next hour for this webinar. I've got with me today Tiana, who I'm sure many of you have met. And today's topic is getting started with GovReports. So this is webinar number 5 so far in 2026. And we do have some more coming up, which I've got on the screen there. We've got one on Thursday, and then we've got one a few weeks away as well. So before we get into it, I just want to give you a little bit of an overview of who we are and what we do, in case you're not familiar with us. We started back in 2010. The goal was to build the best cloud-based tax lodgement solution out there. We believe we've done that. We continue to build today. We're releasing new features and integrations on a monthly basis. And today, as it stands, 2026, we've got more than 4,000 clients around Australia, and that includes tax agents, BAS agents, and businesses as well, large and small. Now, I should also mention, as everyone comes in now, that you won't be able to speak today. You'll be forced to listen to me, unfortunately, but we do encourage questions. So please do pop the questions into the questions panel, which is at the top right, little question mark. Just pop them in as they come into your head as we go. We will endeavour to get to them as we go along, and if we can't get to them as we go along, we'll save some time here to cover those off. Okay, so there's no silly questions. I'm still learning too. I'm pretty new to GovReports, so just make sure you add those in as you go. All right, so we might as well get into it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go from the very start. So if you're wondering, how do I even get started with GovReports? I know many of you would already be using GovReports, perhaps just want to learn a bit more, but there'll be a lot of people here that are brand new as well. So just in case you're not sure, you can actually go and start a free trial of our products on our website, govreports.com.au. And that's just a little free trial button up the top right-hand side. You'll be asked to select what sort of entity you are. So are you a tax agent, a BAS agent, or a business? I'll mention ATO Insights, which is an extra feature shortly in the webinar. But basically, you click on your who you are, and then it will ask you to enter your details, and that will deliver the best package for your needs. There's no need to put in any credit card details or anything. You do just get a free trial to try it out. So that's how you get started. Now I'm going to flick over to the actual GovReports here. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to go back to the bird's view. So if you haven't seen it before, this is what GovReports looks like. I'll run you through pretty much all the menus and features from start to finish. It is that sort of webinar. We just want to cover off everything for people that are getting started, and then that way you'll have the best chance of success. So let me walk you around GovReports. This is what we call the bird's view or the dashboard. So when you log in, this is where you'll come to, and this just gives you a really good indication of where you're at in your practice, whether it be yourself, or if you've got a larger team, just trying to keep track of everything in the one place. So you'll be able to see here, for example, you can check out some recent reports that have been done. You could check out what reports are outstanding, and you can drill down into these and it will take you to the relevant screens as well. So if I went into, show me what reports are overdue, it will take you straight into overdue reports. So I'm just going to come back to the dashboard. Okay, there's a few other things here. We do have a graph on monthly lodgements. So if you're a medium or a larger practice that wants to know, how many lodgements have we done? Normally we do, 50 by this time of the year. What's going on? That just gives you a good visual guide. We've also got some upcoming dates if there's anything upcoming or anything overdue. And then this little customized widget button here, we can literally add in and delete what we like or what we don't like. So for example, if I wanted to add a news widget, I'll just tick the news widget, and we'll see that load up. Okay, so there's our news widget there. That will pull in news from the ATO, and also some news from GovReports if we do new releases and so forth. And then you can move these around as well. So if you think, oh, look, I want to put, the reports one in the middle, or I want to drag, this one down, it's really customizable and intuitive. So it's really easy to use. So do have a play around that. Get that set up how you like it. It will be set up depending on users as well. So if you prefer one layout, another user can customize their own layout, and when you log in, it will be suited to your preferences. Okay. So that is the dashboard. Now we'll go into ATO Insights. Now this account, I don't have, there's a part of this account that isn't pulling data at the moment because it's a test account. It gets quite tricky trying to pull live data from the ATO. But let me explain what's going on here. So ATO Insights, it gives you a good snapshot of where you are performance-wise for your lodgements. So if you're only lodged, say, 50% of your lodgements on time, that's going to be a problem for yourself and probably the ATO. So it will give you a chart here and some numbers to tell you what percentage of returns you've lodged on time. So again, apologies, I haven't got that connected right now. Down to outstanding reports, again, you can see what's overdue, what's ready for lodgement, what hasn't been started, what's in draft. You can click into these as well. Again, you can drill to go straight back into GovReports, and you can see what reports are overdue. We've got the EFT reconciliation statement down here. Again, no live data in that one. This is my favorite, the ATO client communication. So you can see any client communication from the ATO to your client, regardless of how it was sent. So if it was sent by email, by text, by paper, or a message in their MyGov account, you'll be able to see that. Again, it just gives you a snapshot just to keep on top of what messages are coming through. You might see one there about, hey, you're well overdue on your tax payment or something like that, and you can, it makes you look good because you can take action. It really makes you look like you're on top of everything. Okay, so that's ATO Insights. Now I'm going to go back to the dashboard here. So on the left-hand side, we've also got some navigation menus. So we've got our bird's view, which is this screen here. We've got your clients, your staff, lodgements, and I'll run you through all these during the webinar, reports, and then import, export. Okay, so that's one main navigation pane. Up the top here, this is one of my favorite as well. We've got a search bar. So you can search for just about anything in GovReports. So if you were looking for something, you're like, oh, I want to find this client, and you can literally start typing, and boom, there's the client. It comes up. Okay. So you can search by, whether they're active or not, business type, entity type. You can search by tags, which I'll talk about later on. It's pretty powerful stuff, and it will just take you straight into that client you're looking for. Again, you can search by just about anything, so it's really, really handy to have. So keep that in mind. I did have one accountant make a comment about, oh, I wish I could search things easier. You can. I'm just going to guess he didn't see that search bar. So that's quite good. Over here, we've got recent activities. I only figured this out today, so you can literally just have a look at every activity that you've literally clicked on in the product. So not only have I lodged that report, or have I done something sort of tax related, it's actually literally what you're clicking on, so you can just see if anything's changed or moved, or exactly what you've done there. We've got the notifications tab, so notifications will come through if you've got them set up. Now over here, the little Rubik's Cube here, if anyone's wondering, this will take you into what I call e-signature, which is the digital authentication module. So if you wanted to go into the e-signature module and you wanted to use that to create your own client engagement letters, you can do that. You can go straight in there. But as part of the GovReports platform, the workflow is such that when you're, say, when you're generating or lodging reports, when you send those reports out to sign, it'll automatically take you into that component, that e-signature component, okay? Now, ATO checks is a new feature. This is a post-lodgement feature. I'm not going to cover that off today because it's not part of this webinar. There'll be more information on this shortly, but basically, you don't have to guess what status of the lodgement is with the ATO anymore. You'll be able to go into ATO checks, you'll be able to look at what status it's at with the ATO, the estimated refund, the estimated time. It's really quite powerful, so we've just released it. So keep an eye out for more information on that one. Over to my account. I'm just going to pop into my account. So I've got my profile, which is, you know, pretty straightforward stuff. Just let that load up. So, you know, address, etc., etc. We've got some security settings. Now, we've got kind of this old school security question. You don't have to use that. For two-factor authentication, we have SMS, email, or Google Authenticator. We've got Google Authenticator, as you can see here, enabled. That's what I much prefer because it's always at your fingertips. It's always on your phone. The numbers are always there. With email and SMS, not to say they don't work, but you know they can take time. They have to go through third-party providers. The system might be busy. The system might be down. You might be overseas. It just adds a little bit more complexity in there. So, you know, we recommend setting up Google Authenticator for two-factor authentication. And now we're into the email log. So this will be all the emails that have been sent out of GovReports. We do recommend that you change an address to suit you. So the sender email address could be admin at, you know, ABC Accounting. It kind of looks a bit weird if it's coming out of GovReports. So best to change the email to your address. Now into some more sort of deeper important stuff here. I'm going to go into lodgement settings. Okay, so this is a key part. So you have to nominate GovReports with the ATO to be your software provider, essentially. Okay, so once you're in here, ATO software nomination, there'll be a software ID number here, and you'll have to go to the ATO portal and copy that in to let them know that we're gonna basically pull the information into GovReports. Okay, so if you're worried about that or you get stuck, I did this today. You can click on this link here that says Access Manager from ATO portal. And that, let's go to share this tab instead. There we go. And that will take you to some instructions on how to do that. Okay, so we'll say this is how to do it. It'll give you screenshots, log into MyGov, welcome Access Manager, etc., etc. Okay, so just follow those instructions. Some of these screenshots might have changed, and this might have been a while ago, but it's the same process, right? Enter your software ID. And then we'll say, you know, now GovReports is active, okay? So just sort of show you that. Back to this tab here. Okay, so that's important. Now we've got some other stuff here. We've got a rollover tab. So if you want to roll over returns from one year to the other in GovReports, you can do that. Okay, I'm not going to get too much into the weeds of that now. EOS is pre-2018, so I'm not going to bother with that. If we go into managed agent trust account, so you can update or remove or make changes to your trust account in that menu there if you do use that. Some of you might not. Outstanding reports setting. This is a setting that's going to pull in reports from the ATO when they're available into GovReports. So by default, it's set to manual. I would recommend just setting it to weekly. We find that daily can just tend to be a bit too much. And then monthly, you know, it's kind of a big wait for monthly. So look, we just say set it to weekly. You can always change it at any time. So if it's busy tax time and you think, oh, I just want, you know, as much as possible coming every day to get through it, For whatever reason, you can just change it to daily, but yeah, we just recommend setting that on weekly. Okay, into report settings. So this will be the settings of the reports that will come out of GovReports. So there's some smaller things and some bigger things in here. So smaller things are, do you want to hide the GovReports logo? No big deal. Do you want to hide the tax file number? Do you want to enable autosave? Do you want to upload to ATO checks automatically? I won't get into that because that's just a sort of different module which has been released. But I think these are sort of the more important ones. So the report declaration settings. So, for example, do you want to set it as individual business? So will it be, I, Ricky Pointing, declare that, or will it be, main business proprietary limited, declare that on your reports, okay? And then also you can select the contact details as well. So you can say, complete with the account principals details, the report preparers, or the client partners. Okay, so there's a few options there. You can, and then over here, you can choose to send the lodgement receipt to the client if you tick this box here. Okay, and also you can be notified of either success and failure confirmations upon lodgement or just failures only. So some people are like, yeah, we want to see both. Other people are like, oh, look, I don't need to receive emails if it's gone through successfully. Just tell me the ones that didn't go through for whatever reason. So, and you can save those changes. You can also preview as well. So that's pretty much it for the settings. Tiana, is there anything else you wanted to add in there? Oh, Tiana might be on the phone. All right.
Sorry, I was on mute.
Oh, sorry, it's all right. It's all right.
Yeah. Just very quickly, the ATO Insights is only available for tax agents and not BAS agents. It's just that the ATO does measure the 80% on-time online lodgements by tax agent, but not so much for BAS agents. So at the moment, if you want to keep your lodgement statistics and see if any of your clients are falling behind with overdue lodgements, unfortunately, this service is only available for tax agents. Similarly, with ATO checks, we track the lodgement status of the ATO or the progress of the lodgements only for tax agents, individual tax returns.
Okay, great. That's good to know. Thanks, Tiana.
Thanks.
Okay, so we've covered all the menu settings. We've covered the dashboard. Now we're going to get into a bit more of the nitty gritty. So before I do, I'm just going to check back here to see if there's any questions. I might just break for a minute. So if there's any questions on what I've covered off so far before we start to go through more of the menus, feel free to pop them in now. Tiana will start scanning those and we'll get some responses ready. So just thought I'd do a quick pause there, but I'm going to go back now.
It looks like we've been covered. You have covered well enough because we don't have any questions.
I'm doing a great job. Thank you. All right. I'm getting better. Okay. So now we're going to jump into the clients. So obviously GovReports will hold all your clients. I'll run you through the client screen and everything you can do. So first of all, we can see here we've got 2,204 active clients. Obviously, that's a fair few depending on what size of business you're in. We've got one archive client, so that's just someone that's left us. Okay, so you can just click on that and you can see, okay, well that client's now been archived, so we don't have to worry too much about that. Okay. We can see we can filter by tags as well. So I'll show you how to manage tags in a minute, but tags are a good way to just designate clients. So you might have clients that, all they do is a quarterly BAS, for example. Okay, so we set a tag called quarterly BAS. We can apply that. We can say, okay, every quarter, these are the clients that need to do the quarterly BAS. So it's pretty good. Like, it's simple, but it works really well. And then to manage those tags, you've got the button on the top right here. So we're just going to go and have a look at this, and you'll be able to create tags. You'll be able to assign them to clients. Okay. Okay. So There's my one. That's a bit embarrassing. So I've created one today called Tony. I'll put description super dad. Anyway, so you can go ahead and open those. You can attach to clients. So I'm going to show you if we want to attach that to a client. We can literally just tick those clients, okay? And we hit apply, and then that tag's saved successfully. So it's really, really easy to use. We can edit the tag. If I go on open, okay, that just says clients at a tag. That's fine. I'm going to close that out. Okay. Now we can delete the tag, and if we want to create a new one, just a big red button here. Again, just testing. Really easy. Okay, submit. It's really easy, right? It's just a good way to manage your clients. That way, you're just not going to forget anything. And again, it's all just part of being on top of your clients. And if it's easy for you to be on top of your clients and it makes you look good, that's really what you want. So I'm going to go back to, so that was tags. Go back to clients again. Okay. Now, in terms of getting the clients in the system, we've got a lot of questions around this. So there's a few options, okay? So the first one is, because we cover such a range of businesses, we cover from sole practitioners right through to top 4 firms. So there's a lot of different ways people want to get that data in. So the first option is you can just do a CSV file import. So if you've got your own kind of CRM or practice management system, like kind of sitting separate, you can literally just export it out of that system and import it into GovReports, okay? Now, if you've got certain categories set up in your existing system, we would use tags for that. So you might have categories in your system of, quarterly BAS and all those things I just showed you, and you can just turn those into tags, drop them into GovReports, and you're ready to go, okay? So that's one option. The other option is you could just bulk import all the clients from the ATO, okay? So if I go onto there, this isn't going to work because it's just a demo account, okay? It'll give you a bit of a description of what it's going to pull in. It'll tell you it's going to, if you want to overwrite the existing clients, you can go import, and it takes about 15 minutes, and then all your clients will appear in GovReports. So that's pretty cool. You can import a single client from the ATO. So maybe you just got a new client. That's probably the best scenario, and you don't want to override or get too complex. You just want to add that one client to the other 100 or so you've got. Maybe you can just import a single client. You can also import from active work papers and FYI software. So these are two of the integrations we've got. We find with kind of the medium-sized firms, those integrations are fairly popular. We will be adding more, and we'll be working. We've got more integrations in the pipeline, including carbon. We're doing a lot of building this year, so keep an eye on that. But they are options as well. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of different ways you can get your clients in there, so don't stress about that. And of course, you can export the clients out of GovReports as well if you need to. Okay. Now, the clients themselves, all these columns you can sort. So if I want to see, or most of the columns, I should say, you can sort. So if I want to see, say, let's sort by business type. It's sort by entity, CRN, whatever it might be. It just makes it easy for you to view. You can obviously see all the details of the client. You can see if there's a partner managing, okay? And then you can either go directly in and open up the client. So this will open up the client, and I should have picked a better one. Just one sec here. I'm just gonna, because I want to get one that's got some data. Okay. Let's open this client. And then now we're getting into, from a client's perspective, the nitty gritty, right? So now we can see, well, okay, we're in Solino Proprietary Limited. What are the outstanding reports? Okay, so we can see here what's outstanding, what the status is, and when they were last updated, and what the form is as well. Okay, so these are all activity statements. Now, if we click the sync button, this isn't going to work because, again, it's a dummy account, but you would pull in any other reports that haven't come into the system yet, if there were any to come in from the ATO. Okay. Into the overview tab just gives you a little overview of your client, just some details there. Into valid and draft. So this would be lodgements that are in draft, so you're working on but are valid, okay, which means there's no errors. This would be reports that you've lodged. Access permission, so you can see who's got access to this client and what they can do. So if I go into, so now I can see the staff details, I can see the different staff roles, okay? So we've got, I think there's 4 different roles all up. From memory, sorry, Tiana, there's partner, lodger, preparer, and custom, is that right?
Correct.
Yeah, correct. Okay, perfect. So you can set up, and that's more in the, so we're sort of getting to the staff tab now, so I'm just jumping too far now. So let me just go back to, let's bring these guys up again. Okay. ATO accounts, so we can pull those ATO accounts directly from the ATO into GovReports. Again, it's not going to work here because this is a dummy account. ATO communications, I'll show you that a bit further on for the client. And we've got history, so this gives you an idea of what's actually been happening in the system. It'll tell you who's done it and when they've done it and what they've done. Any linked clients. So I understand that's for like things like distributions, if there needs to be certain parties that are linked together. Any file notes you want to put in there as well. You might just want to add a file note for whatever reason. Again, just saves you forgetting. It's just a good place to do that. We can set a passcode for the client. So if we want to lock the client for whatever reason, maybe something's happened with the business. Maybe they just, who knows, maybe they just don't want you to touch the file for a while. Maybe you don't want any staff members to touch the file for a while. You can just literally create a passcode and lock that client. It's just a handy feature to have.
Or it could be your own entity and you do not want your the staff to have access to your own account. So you can you can set the passcode to lock that client. And if you need one of the staffs to do the work for you, you can share the code with that staff member. And once that's done, you can also change the passcode so that staff can no longer access your account to check on your your transactions or your interactions with the ATO.
There you go. Thanks, Tiana. So it's a good privacy feature as well. Okay, I'm going to come into forms now. Now you can select a form for the client. So let's say we go into activity statement. This is just going to give me too many errors here, I think.
Yeah, you've got to set up the client first. You don't have the contact details, so you need to put all of that in. I think choose the one you already have in the system.
Which one was that?
So if you go to lodgement and go to save reports, already the ones that you already have.
Oh, okay, sorry.
From the client's profile, if you select the reports to prepare for the clients from the outstanding reports that's overdue or not been prepared or upcoming, you can prepare from the outstanding report. But if you need to do revisions, whether it's an activity statement or a tax return, you can go from forms and select the reporting type, and then you can go from there after you select the reporting period. Once you've done that, you can go in and make sure that you enter the reasons why an amendment is required or needed for that. Activity statements, you don't need to do the reasons as such, but tax return you will, and also confirm the sequence of the returns as well.
Gotcha. Thanks, Tiana. Let me just check if I've covered off everything in here. Now, ATO services. So this is where you can obviously interact with the ATO through GovReports. Things like, obviously, you can maintain authorization, you can remove clients, you can change client addresses, you can sync info from the ATO. There's a whole bunch of stuff there. Do you want me to sort of run through each, Tiana, or are you happy just to have a quick overview?
It's yeah, it just under the ATO services on the client's profile, you would see the full list of all the ATO services, including access to the ATO accounts, which you can see on the client's profile. But then the full client update service, whether it's to add, maintain authorizations to add the clients into your ATO agent portal, or to remove the clients if they're no longer yours, update their address, contact details, authorized contacts, and of course, if you haven't got much of the information from the ATO on the clients, as they have not given you their details, you can also sync from the ATO to download what the ATO has regarding that client in terms of contact details. So it might be useful when you set up the using GovReports. You can just sync from ATO to pull down whatever their contact details that they have, the ATO has on the client into GovReports, so it saves you a little bit of time. But if the contact the information that the ATO has is not yet updated, you can also update into GovReports and then sync update the address into the ATO with your new contact details. Similarly with financial institutions, so you can see the banking details, whether it's for payments of income tax, or the bank details that the client previously nominated for payment of activity statements, GST. And if you need to change that, you can also change that as well by confirming the change and update with the new financial institution details. Non-lodgement advice: if you've lodged anything, you can have a quick access to it from here, or shortcut access to it from there. And of course, if you haven't, if you're still not too sure about the ATO client communications, you can also go there to have, and it will redirect you to the ATO client communication for that particular client. And the last item on the company details is the PAYG installment amount calculator. So if you need to work out the payment, the PAYGI amount for the clients for their activity statements, you can do the calculations and then print it out for the clients so that they know what's going forward, their estimated payment monthly or quarterly amount that they need to do, regardless of the activity statement that they lodge. Having said that, the activity statements these days, if your clients got those activity statements service reporting service from GovReports, will have the pre-fill directly from your SDP software through the ATO. So if you need to override that, the PAYGI calculator just give you an indication. But if you've lodged SDP, or your clients lodge their SDP, those figures will get pre-fill, over and override. So you have to determine which one is the correct one. You know your clients best, and you work accordingly on that.
Amazing. Thanks, Tiana. Okay. Again, I'm just going to pause here for a second, just see if anyone has any questions around the clients tab.
While we're waiting for the questions, I'll just go back to the tags. When Tony cover the tags, you can easily create the tags. The reasons that we have tags there, if you haven't used it already, is it's easier for you to manage your clients, grouping your clients. As Tony indicates, showing you whether if you're, for all those clients that you do monthly IAS for example, or it might be a clients that has, related all related entities, you want to put them all together, or it could be reporting obligations. So all the clients with monthly SDP or weekly SDP, for example, you can create those so that each week or every time at the beginning of the period, you can go in, select the tags, and then for that reporting obligation, you just go from, like from your list within that tags, or it could also be, you know, easy for you to manage. So that's the tags. And you can have multiple tags for each of for the same clients as well. So there's no restrictions. If it's easier, if your database is huge, is, you know, much bigger and harder for you to get it set up, you can download your client list and then create tags, you know, like based on you know, the client's grouping from your existing software. Create those tags to match it, to match with GovReports, so then you can import your client list directly into the system without having to reset up.
Perfect. All right, so we've covered off the clients. So again, if there's any questions, just pop those in. And we're going to head over to staff. So this is where, if you do have staff, you'll keep track of who's who and what they're allowed to do. Okay, so you can see here in this account, we've got 6 active staff, gives you the username, what sort of role they have. The licensing is obviously licensing for, you know, activation. And then if we go into open, so let me go back. If we go into staff permissions, this is where we can change the permissions. Okay, so if you're a partner, basically, you know, you can see and do everything. If you're a lodger, you can lodge for all clients. If you're a preparer, you can view all clients, but you can't lodge. And then for custom, you can set up your own. Okay, so go back into here. Okay, so if you're on custom, then you can select, is that right, Tiana? You can select the forms and the clients that you're able to, that person's able to access.
For the custom role, correct. So you can select the form, whether that person, which forms that can the staff with the custom role can prepare. Once you select the forms, then you can also select select which clients they will have access, whether to prepare or to lodge. So you, in this case, you have select the forms, the activity statements in the company tax return. Now you go to the clients and select those clients that person can access to prepare the activity statements and company tax return for, and also lodge as well.
Perfect. All right. So lots of flexibility. Obviously, you can assign new staff. Is that because there's no extra licenses for that one? Is that why it's coming up? No staff
That's correct.
available?
So now,
yeah, okay.
Yep, that's correct. There's no additional licenses on there. Yep. So for each of these, if you go into, for example, go to Sarah, Sarah Murdoch. Yep. And if you go into her user permission for Sarah, you can see you can also even if it's a partner, but then you also do not want your this staff to access certain ATO features, you can also restrict that as well. So for all of these, it's just depending on your staff and, you know, how much of control you want to have access to control on your staff access. You can go to the 3 horizontal bars.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, staff permissions. There you go. You can see whether, you know, sometimes you don't want your partners, you know, the staff to be able to delete the clients or to update on the ATO, especially when you have overseas staffs. If you know, you've got offshore staff, you can perhaps give them access, but not to make changes to the ATO online services for those clients. Okay, and so you can remove that that preference.
Perfect. Okay, that is the staff section. If you do have any questions on that, pop those in. Okay, now we're going to jump into lodgement. So there's obviously the staff section is is, it's fairly small, but it's still powerful with the customization you've got there. Now I'm going to go to lodgements. Okay. So this is where you can see your lodgement history, and this is at the practice level. Okay. So it will give you obviously the client name, the form that was lodged, the period, the date, if there's any amendments, the tax estimate, a whole bunch of data here, the status, obviously that it's been lodged, that's in history, the signed status as well. So when you do use the e-signature component, has it been signed? Has it been out for signature? The partner name and prepared by and lodged by. Again, you can sort these columns if you need to. And so you can see some different sign status come up here. Signed, that one's expired, so you'll have to do that again, resend. And this one's still in draft. Okay, you can export this to see.
You notice that there's tax estimate for the tax returns that has been submitted in here, and of course activity statements as well. This is in preparations going forward. We would have options to be able to track. So if once the clients make the payment, the tax estimates, and you can invite your clients to make the payment directly with the payment gateway coming soon. So that's something, a space that you can also watch, looking out for. And of course, like you can see which clients you still have outstanding, and then follow up with them so that if they're not able to pay, you can then organize the payment plan, or at least be prepared that the A2 might follow up with a penalty or something like that.
Amazing.
So on each of the lodgements, you notice if you click on one of the lodgements, it comes with the audit log. So you can see this in overview. You can see the lodgement receipt, and then the lodgement receipt, and of course the response. In this case, there's a warning. Where's a warning? The lodgement receipt come with the warning or with the details of that's in issues, and of course. And who's it lodged by, the time and date, and timestamp which ATO departments have received the lodgement. And of course on history you can see also the audit log, who's prepared the return, and also who made changes to it, when it was made, when the change was made, and what was the change that was made, and the time and date stamp. So if there's an audit one day, and if there's multiple staff members have access to the same clients or the same report, you can see who has made changes to it, who prepare, who just basically the whole audit log, so that you can follow up. If there's an issue, you can understand, get a group of all the people that are involved in making that returned, that lodgements, so you can follow up and find out if there's any issues.
Of course, you can see the actual report.
Yep, you can click on report to get a copy of that, and you can also email it. Choose to email to the clients or whoever that's asking for the copy of that as well. You see, there's an option to send it to yourself, send it to the clients, or send it to someone else. You choose to send it to the client, you would have the client's email pre-fill directly onto it. In this case, because it's a testing account, we don't have a client's email address in there.
Perfect. There's a few other options in here as well. We can print or view the documents. We can upload into FYI.
Yep, because Tony has access to the enterprise versions, where the integration with FYI, a couple of other services, including Cloud Connect, Prime Matters, work papers, the business fitness work papers. But if you're using the retail versions, you would have the GovReports practice management tool, Office Practice Manager, and soon we're going to have Carbon available in the retail as well as in the enterprise version. So look out for that if you're using Carbon. And also you know, if you're looking at moving on to the enterprise version at some point, give us a call, talk to Tony or talk to myself, and we'll guide you through the differences as well.
Excellent, thanks, Tiana. Yeah, and I should have pointed out there are a few different versions of GovReports. So if you have any questions or you find that you're not seeing certain menus that you might have seen, just chat to us. We'll guide you in the right direction. Okay, I'm going to go into saved reports. So these are the reports that essentially we're working on. We've saved them. You can see again client details, lodgement period, etc. I guess the status is pretty important, whether they're in draft, whether they're valid. So do these reports essentially have any errors, or are they valid and ready to go? And then what we've done, we've created these folders. Okay, so again, it's just a little workflow tool where, let's just say you're working on a report and you say, well, the process in our firm is it needs to be approved by my manager. Okay, so we can go in and say create folder, and we can call it waiting for manager approval. Okay, and we can give it a color, give it this bright green one. Okay, so now I've got my waiting for manager approval down there. Now let's say you've worked on this report here. We can just select that report, we can move to folder. There's my manager approval. And then again, depending on how you've got the workflow set on your firm, your manager will know, well, that's the folder that I checked to approve before that return goes any further. Okay. You also notice that if I highlight one of these reports again, you can lodge that way. So if you just say, well, this report's valid, it's ready to go. Let's say it's been approved. We're going to tick it and we're going to say lodge selected. Or we could schedule the lodgement as well. So if you're like, well, it's all ready to go, but we don't want to lodge it until the last day of March for whatever reason, you could go in and schedule that lodgement. You can even pick the time as well. Okay. What else do we need to cover in this section, Tiana?
There's a few options there. You can see the schedule lodgement. So if the report is ready for lodgement, and if the client's basically, and you do not want to lodge it right away for whatever reasons, it might be the client's requesting not to lodge it so soon, or maybe lodge by due date, or lodge by a certain by a certain date, perhaps because the clients don't want you to lodge so that there's an obligation to make the payment right away for any amount owing. So you can schedule the lodgement, the exact time and date if there's by lodgement due date and the time and date. But it's also, you can lock the report. So there's a lock at the bottom of your left hand on your left hand column. So if for as you know, if you've got multiple users in GovReports and they might have access to the same report, and if you have sent it off to the clients for signature, and if someone's accidentally gone in to have a look at the report, instead of opening by clicking on the report, they click edit. Now the thing is, once you send the report for the clients to sign, it's pending for signature. No one should be going into the report to edit the report, because it means that the clients might not be signing the final versions of it. So that's why if it's finalized, no further changes can be made. You should lock the report when you send it off to the clients for signature. So that way, when no one will make changes, and it's not going to kick off the sign status and not be able to monitor. Our system, if you once you send it off to the clients for signature, and then you click edit on the save report, it will cancel the e-signature component and tracking of it, because as I mentioned, if you make changes to it, as our system assuming that you're making changes to it, that means the client might not have access to the final versions. So locking is also important, and especially when you have partners, if the partners have been approved of it, he might want to lock the reports and not allowing any other staff to make changes to it as well. Or it might be that you don't want anyone to work on it because perhaps you are waiting for the client to give you some information. The information that you have obtained might not be correct, and waiting for final details from the client, and you want to lock it until you get everything in place. You have everything before you prepare it. So that locking is locking the report is an option there as well.
Perfect. So it's a pretty important feature.
Yep. And on sign status, similar on the sign status, if one of if earlier today, for example, we have an agent came back and they go, well, I've sent the report off to the clients for signing. Then he came into the office and signed it instead on paper. So how do I make adjustments? If that happens, you need to go to the digital authentication app, and then void the report. When you come back here, the sign status will be blank, and then you can go in to manage the create a status, and perhaps it's signed by paper, signed on paper, on paper, and then you go to the client's file note to make a note where you will be keeping that signed document, that signed report, right? So that you can follow up if there's an audit one day, you remember this was signed by paper and where it's being kept, whether it's on the client file or it's a scanned copy has been kept somewhere. Whatever, make a file note so that you can easily come back and locate it if there's a requirement for it. Okay. Notice of the timing. So we're gonna be very quickly going to the Intel extractor. Once you use the system for lodgement, subsequent years, you can go into the Intel extractor and be able to sort your client or filter your clients based on the criteria, depending on perhaps, for example, if the government is going to change the capital gains tax, for example, on properties. For example, if that happened, I'm not saying it will, all right, but if it does happen and you want to go into all those clients that you've lost tax return for with real estate property in rental properties, and then you would search for all those clients with rental property schedule, right? And then you filter the list of all the returns that you've lodged in that financial year with that specifically like rental property schedule. So then you can follow up with the clients, update them with the communications or from the ATO or from the government and the changes expected in the future. It might be for like your marketing, your consulting services, whatever. And that service, Intel Extractor, is available for all the tax returns. You just have to filter out which label is that you're targeting, or which client categories that you want to target for. So that's the Intel Extractor. They give you the list, easier for them. You're trying to remember which clients you deal for. If you have a few clients, it makes sense. You probably remember. But if once you have hundreds and thousands of clients, it's difficult to remember all the clients that you've lodged for and what you have claimed for them in the previous years.
And the filter options do change. So as you change the return, you'll get different filter options. We've had a few questions around that as well.
The labels.
Yeah, and it's also a good tool to use if you're perhaps want to sell additional services to clients, or you're introducing a new service. You can just obviously filter out those clients and say, okay, we're selling this service. What clients might use that service? Bang, filter them out. There's 12 clients there that could buy that service, and then it just makes it nice and easy.
Okay. The other commonly used features is the ATO reports. If you go into, this is from the practice level. So previously, Tony has shown you the client level where you can see the ATO client communications for that particular client. This is where you see the whole for all your database. Perhaps you might have a staff member that goes in every morning and have a look at which client has the ATO try to contact and what sort of communication. If it's important, they might forward to the partner in charge, or they might just forward to the client if it's relating to the clients and it's important for the client notifications. So you can forward that to that client. Even if you choose to forward that ATO client communication, just remember, bear in mind, the ATO has already tried to contact the clients through whatever means that, whether it's a letter, it's an email, it's a text message. You can see that the client has already received it, or is in the process of receiving it. If you forward these, you can reiterate, and sometimes because clients, they receive so much information from the ATO or from various sources, and might not know which one is important. So you can, if you think it's important, you can forward to the clients. When they receive it, it's in the form of email with a link to open the document, and they would, by default, our system would send them the security code for them to open, or you can set the security code for them to open that, because most of the document communicated by the ATO does have contain this, do contain the tax file number or some insensitive information. But if you are forwarding something that has no significance or no sensitive information, you can also choose no security as well. And if you choose to send it, our system will keep track of the log. So that means who sent it, the time and date it was sent, so that the next person, if you've got multiple staff or multiple people using the system or your account, there's no options, there's no duplicates of, like different staff going in to send it to the same client, because you will see the track records or the audit log as to who has sent it previously. So in here, if you do create tags from the clients, you can also filter out based on the client tags, as well as mark them as read or unread, etc., or search by filter by the channels or by the partners, etc. As we are approaching the next feature, and if you haven't already used, is the activity statement summaries. For those who lodge the client's activity statements, this is one of the feature where it's will capture all the lodge activity statements that the ATO has received for the client, whether it's done by you or it's done by the clients, or it might be done or lodged by the previous accountants or BAS agents or tax agents. So you'll be able to see the full list, and as long as they're on your ATO portal, you can see all the activity statements that the ATO has received for these clients. So no longer do you need to keep records. We will be able to pull out the information directly from the ATO. The figures that you will see for the clients from here are the final figures for that period as well. So if it's handy if this is a new client and you want to see where they are at in terms of their lodge activity statements to the ATO, or it might be at the end of financial year you want to reconcile and then for the clients and finalize their books before starting the new financial year. So these are the commonly features that you can use and as part of the setup or your practice. And yeah, so there's a few more. And if you are still new to the system and still not too sure, like what where you can get certain information or how to get it set up, you're more than welcome to give us a call on the support line and just ask us about the queries or the features that you're looking for. It might be there. Like I said, in 1 hour we cannot cover everything, but I think Tony has done well trying to cover much of the features that commonly used. And yeah, so have we got any questions?
No questions yet, but we're on 6 o'clock, so feel free to pop any in if they do come in into your mind. As Tiana said, it's there's quite a lot to the system. There's a few things we skipped over. We didn't even get into the weeds of tax returns, so it's hard to get through everything in an hour. But by all means, if you do have any questions, let us know. If you don't have any right now and you do think of some, just shoot us an email. You can also call support if you need us. So we do have business hour phone support and email as well. But I think that's about it. So looks like there's no questions. So look, I just want to say thanks for attending. I hope you learned something. I know I learned something, so that was good. And the next webinar will be on Thursday, and that will be covering off onboarding new clients from start to finish. That will be presented by Ali Cochran, who many of you will probably be aware who she is. So if you wanted to join then, be sure to register. But on behalf of myself and Tiana, again, appreciate it. I hope you have a good night. We hope to see you at the next one. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.